Welcome, Tin Cup Theology. This is a time where we teach theology to Fellowship Bible Church via a podcast. And today we are really blessed to have Liz Williams. Liz Williams is Director of Compassion Medical Ministries. That's the shirt.
I love it. I love it. I love that you're repping
it. And we're going to find out about what Compassion Medical does and what Liz does, and just be blessed by a theology of compassion. Andrew gave us a theology of compassion from John 4, 5, and 6 earlier today. And we're just going to build on that with Liz. And so we want to welcome you to Fellowship Bible Church.
Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure and it's an honor to be here with your congregation. You have such an amazing congregation. And I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thanks. We're having a missions conference, and if you haven't attended, you'll be able to get a little summary of what we've been able to do. Our theme is Compassion, a Door to the Gospel. And when our missions committee came up with that particular theme, I said, well, we have to have Compassion Medical International here, and so worldwide. And so we want to have. So that's why we invited you, and we're so glad that you came and you brought your awesome kids as well, and that's been a real blessing. Well, would you describe Compassion Medical Worldwide to us, please? What is it?
So Compassion Medical is an organization. We are a sort of a subsidiary, if you will, out of Biblical Ministries Worldwide. And our goal is really threefold. The first avenue of ministry that we have is internally to our own missionaries that are around the globe. So we provide kind of a second look for them at medical issues that may arise while they're on the field. So they may call in with an issue or a problem, even sometimes like, an ear infection for a child. How can we treat this over the counter? Or can you take a look at the x-ray that we got and can you just double check that, the diagnosis is right? So we have that internal medical component. Then we turn externally and we support also our missionaries, for those missionaries who want to incorporate a medical component in their ministry. Then we come alongside of them and really help build and put the scaffolding on the construction of a medical unit where they are. And I'm super excited because our first one is we are about to build a building in South Africa. I am absolutely over the moon about this opportunity.
I saw the roof go up.
The roof! It's going up. I can't believe it. Like, all these years of just dreaming about it and talking about it, and it's actually finally coming together. So to actually see, I was just there with the missionaries there, and we stood over the ground. We prayed over it. We asked God to do, huge things in South Africa through the hands of these missionaries. By medical means. I love it. So that's our second component. And then the third component is a more traditional humanitarian humanitarian component in response to global crises. So that's the part that is my passion, is dealing with the crises of the world and being able to be a first responder on the ground. And we do work through some absolutely amazing networks. We have established over the years, we have so many missionaries around the world. So being able to access those missionaries to be able to respond to world crises, it's amazing. It's amazing what God has done through this ministry.
Wow, that's great. That's great. What is the relationship that Compassion Medical have with Biblical Ministries Worldwide?
So we work hand in hand with Biblical Ministries. We are guided by the board. We're guided by Andrew. But we work hand in hand with all of those missionaries and those missionaries who want to have a medical component. So we really just work hand in hand with all of our missionaries.
Oh, that's great. How did God prepare you for your role in Compassion Medical?
Oh, my goodness. Do you have 2 or 3 hours? I think, honestly, one of the most important things kind of recently dawned on me. Ever since I was a young child, I've always had a medical mind. I wanted to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. I wanted to be arm deep, elbow deep in blood in someone's chest. I dreamed about it. I thought about it. I worked toward it, but God did not make that path straight. And for so many years, I really looked back in regret at some of the decisions that I made in life and some of the things that did not happen that I tried to make happen. And I tried to push doors down that couldn't really be pushed down. And I think there were so many times where I kind of looked back on that and I just thought, man, if I could have just done that, I could have done so many things for God. But I look at it now and I think, wow, God knew what he was doing. Because in the position that I'm in now, I am able to take medical professionals that are good at what they do and turn them out into the world and put them in places that they never would have been able to go to or have opportunity that they wouldn't have had otherwise if it wasn't for Compassion Medical and for the vision that Biblical Ministries had for this medical piece. So that's the short of the long, but I'm so thankful for that path that God has brought me down to really get us to this place of thinking globally as opposed to just in one tiny little piece.
Yes, yeah. Was Afghanistan the first international intervention?
Yes. So if you would have told me COVID, when we were putting together Compassion Medical, if you would have told me back then what was about to happen, I probably would have laughed. You know, like one of those spit coffee laughing moments. I never would have dreamed that we would have had the opportunity that we had. But yes, Afghanistan happened. I remember speaking to Jennifer. Jennifer is a pivotal piece to Compassion Medical. Also, her being an Army nurse. She's helped out greatly. And I remember I was talking to Jennifer and we were really trying to build out some pieces for our missionaries when Andrew called to tell me that his friend was stuck in Afghanistan, and he said, I need to get him out of Hamid Karzai International Airport. And I thought, oh dear, I don't know where Hamid Karzai International, so I picked up my phone, I put it into Google real fast, and I was like, oh, that Hamid Karzai. And from that moment on, we dove in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We were spending literally 72 hours or more at a time pulling people out of Afghanistan. That was the pivotal moment, not just for Compassion Medical, but also for my life. Afghanistan has a very special place in my own heart and my own mind, just because that was the piece for me that changed everything.
Wow. How many people were impacted by your facilitation there at the airport in Afghanistan?
God only knows.
Wow.
It started with Andrew's friends, which was a group, I believe, of 22. And then my brother, who was a missionary in Baghdad, he called me and he said, hey, I've got friends that are at the gate, at Abbey Gate, and I need you to get them out. I was in the pickup line of the car pickup line to pick up my kids, taking a phone call about getting people out of Afghanistan. And I laughed and I said, Stephen, I'm not a magician. And he said, Liz, you just did it. I need you to do it again. These are pastors of a church and their families. And so from Andrew's 22 to that little group of 24, which yielded about 10,000 people subsequent to that.
10,000 people. That's amazing.
It was incredible.
Yeah. There was like a lot of flights that you were...
27 flights.
27 flights.
Total of 27 flights, about 10,000 people.
Wow. That's amazing. Wow. And then Ukraine was another international crisis that you guys got to be a busing in?
Ukraine was, yes, that was definitely... I think just kind of at the moment I was able to take a breather from Afghanistan. I heard that Russia had invaded south of Ukraine. I did not sleep that night. The whole of the evening I was watching things come in. I'm watching the news and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I know we can do something. We've been here before. We can do something. And that morning I texted Andrew a little too early, and I said, hey, we need to talk. And so he texted back, yes, we do. So we got on the phone. I said, Andrew, I couldn't even sleep last night. What are we going to do in Ukraine? And he goes, that's kind of funny. I didn't sleep a whole lot last night either. And I was going to call you and ask what you wanted to do in Ukraine. So, yeah, Ukraine has it's been another pivotal moment for biblical ministries, for Compassion Medical, and for a lot of people involved. Like, it's been incredible to see the people on the ground, the pastors on the ground, the staff on the ground, as their ministry has even grown out of it.
I remember I had a small little role where you called me to bring a bulletproof vest to a missionary at San Francisco Airport.
You did.
I think
I hadn't slept. I had totally forgot about that. But that vest, actually, I'd like to tell you a story about that vest. That vest went to Kharkiv, to a missionary in Kharkiv. He had that vest on his body. He went to a recently liberated area. He was passing out food. I actually have a video. They were passing out food to people, food, Bibles, and clean water. They were giving these packets to people. It was hot. He got back in the van. He took the vest off, and he hung it up over the window, and a bomb went off.
Wow.
Right there. Threw the van over, and he told me, he said, Liz, if that vest had not been there, I would be with Jesus right now. He had brain damage. He has shrapnel that will live in his brain forever. He couldn't walk. He couldn't see for a long time. I was able to go to Ukraine and visit him and spend some time with him and his beautiful wife and his children. But that vest, I don't know if I've actually ever told you the story. That vest saved his life.
Wow. Wow, there's chills. Yeah.
So thank you for your part. That's not a small piece.
Well, that was really small.
But every small piece, what you think is small, is so big, and that's what's so amazing about Compassion Ministries. That even something that you think is so small has such a big impact.
In terms of what you're able to share, because it's going to be on YouTube and Spotify, but what kind of things have been accomplished in Ukraine for the benefit of the people through Compassion?
I don't even know where to begin with this one. This is like
just spit them out and just let it roll.
I'm like a kid at a candy shop here. So basically, it comes down to we're working through the hands of the local church. So we're putting. It's actually really interesting. We're able to stock churches with medication that are being distributed by local Ukrainian doctors. So people are able to come to the church and get their medicine, and then they also receive a Bible. They receive food. That's kind of my favorite part. And getting these churches stocked is just incredible. We've got an amazing network of people who work. When I send the order in, they're able to go to the apteka, which is the pharmacy, gather all the medications, and then send it where it belongs. But basically at this point we've done generators. We've done a lot of generators in a lot of churches. 100
generators at least?
I'm going to have to say probably double that.
Wow.
We've done a lot of generators. So we've done generators because you got to understand that most people don't have electricity in recently liberated areas or even still in occupied territories. So we've been able to do that. We do a lot of fresh food. There's a church down in the south, and they have women that come in and just cook. It's like a magical kitchen. They produce the most amazing smells, which I wish I could waft to all of the listeners.
Smell-o-vision,
here.
that's next.
Smell-o-vision, I love it. Yes, so they cook, and then they can everything up, and then they take it out to these recently liberated areas. And they also are able to give it to the Ukrainian military as well. Some of the little, some of the smaller outposts, if you will, the Ukrainian military. So we do that. We do Bibles. We have done children's Bibles, like picture Bibles. They're beautiful. I know I'm going to forget things, but hot showers for people, clean water, a ton of medication. I've also worked with frontline doctors, frontline medics. We've provided vests. 750 vests, I believe.
So I guess that's an investment.
I love it. And if only I had a little translate here. But I love it. It was a good investment. So yeah, that's broad brushstrokes.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. You said something really profound tonight at our missions banquet that some of you might have missed a great meal, but even a greater spiritual meal. But you said that compassion turns up the volume on the gospel. Can you explain that for us?
So I think one of the things that's most confused, and I think that scares Christians sometimes when you say compassion ministries, they think that compassion ministry is going to replace the gospel, when in fact it does not. Compassion is not the gospel. They're not synonymous. But compassion ministry turns the volume up on the gospel, because if you walk by a hungry man and you just offer him the gospel, he may or may not accept it. But if you walk by a hungry man and you give him bread and water and you sit with him and share the gospel, what does that do? It fills his belly, and all of a sudden he's really interested in what you have to say. So if you think of compassion ministries that way, not as the gospel, but as turning the volume up. So you do the compassion, you do the act of compassion, but then you also share the gospel. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. Well, this has been really, really incredible to be blessed by your vision. What's next for Compassion Medical?
Ask God. At this point, I think he is going to be the only one that knows. I mean, we've all seen what's been taking place in Israel, so I have been active really all day today in starting some targeted evacuations and extractions. And then from there, we're kind of in the studying phase about what really needs to be done, and then we'll work through some people who are on the ground there, as well as some networks, church networks, and some networks that we have through BMW, to be able to provide some things. We're going to have to keep a lot of that under wraps for the moment.
Sure.
But we'll be involved in Israel.
That's great. That's great. How can a little church like ours near San Francisco be a help to Compassion Medical?
Pray for us. There's a lot of need, but we need a lot of wisdom. We need a lot of help. The world is full of needs. We can't fix them all, but we can do what we can do, and we just need the prayer. You're a small congregation, but you are mighty, and I believe it. And I believe in the power of prayer, and I believe that one of the things Andrew said tonight, and I kept thinking in my mind, we even just for myself, I'm just one small little light, and I walk out in compassion ministries into these war zones, into these very dark places. And I got my one little light, and I'm alone with my little light. But I also know that back behind my little light is congregations of people praying as we go. So that's kind of how I look at things. And then when I'm here, my light is with everybody else, and I feel brighter and I feel stronger when I'm here with all of you. So you may feel small, but you're mighty.
All right. We're watts behind you as you're a light.
I love it.
Liz, thank you so much for being a blessing to us and being part of our Tin Cup Theology special edition today. Check out compassionmedical.org and you'll see what's going on.
And so, Instagram, Facebook at Compassion Medical.
Like them.
Please.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all.
Thank you.